We just getting started, baby. Did anybody see what Mr. Wardell Steph Curry did to the Portland Trailblazers? They were nobodies. They beat the Giants. Trash. They beat the Broncos. Trash. If you ever watched Dragon Ball Z, my man's was Super Saiyan. I couldn't wear this until we actually caught a dub. And he did all of this damage in 36 minutes. Let that sink in. They beat the Eagles, trash. The Cowboys, trash. The Bengals, trash. The Jaguars, trash. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here on Rob's 2 Cents. How y'all feeling? A lot to talk about in the sports world, right? What's going on, nephew? How you feeling? How you feeling? What everybody got planned for this weekend? Hope y'all got y'all drinks. Sip up, enjoy. Lot to discuss tonight. Need a couple more eyes in here. Come on in. Come tune in to the hottest sports conversation in the nation. This is Rob's 2 Cents, baby. Come on in. Had a great day today. How was y'all days? Talk to me. What's going on Friday? Oh yeah, you know I'm talking about the play-in. You know I'm a tune. Hey, it's going down in the Western Conference. We gonna discuss all that on this show. Come on in. It's Friday. We had jobs and we had things to do, but work time is over. It's the weekend, baby. I appreciate that question, Marquise. I think the play-in is actually good for the NBA right now because it makes teams have to play throughout the whole season. Usually around this time, the playoffs, are kind of set and, teams begin to rest players. So we don't get that, we really have to wait until the playoffs, until we start getting real basketball again, except for those teams fighting for, seventh and eighth and whatnot. But now adding that element of 7 through 10 having to prove themselves to get into the playoffs, we already getting playoff basketball before the playoffs begin. Now, granted, I agree with Kenny Smith on this when I was watching Inside the NBA last night. And what Kenny Smith said was, leave seventh alone, allow seventh to have their spot set. But that 8, 9, and 10, 9 and 10 should play each other first. And whoever wins that will play eighth to get into that final eighth spot. I believe that's how the play-in should go. But as far as is the play-in good for the league? Yeah, hell yeah. Oh, we about to see some exciting basketball. Think of the fact that LeBron can get eliminated by Steph Curry. That can happen. Granted, the Warriors are not a team that's going to make that much noise in the playoffs, but we know Steph can go nuclear for 2 games. He can go nuclear for 2 games without a shot of a doubt. And with the way that the Lakers are playing right now, the Warriors they're gonna be looking good. But we're gonna talk about that later on the show. I got some eyes in here now. My good people, my good people. Hello, world. I'd like to welcome you guys back to the show that's hot with your boy Rob Scott. This is Rob's 2 Cents, the live show, y'all. How's everybody doing, man? Hope you guys enjoying your weekend. As you all may have walked into the room and see, I'm already having conversation with the people. My boy Keith asked a great question, and I had to answer it for him. But before we get to talking about the play-in tournament, which there is a lot to talk about, excuse me, I posed the question to y'all, have the Brooklyn Nets been exposed? Because the Nets are currently on a 4-game losing streak, which is the most consecutive games they've lost this season as a team. They are truly missing James Harden, who's been out for about a month now, dealing with a sore hamstring. The Nets are only 7 and 8 when only KD and Kyrie played. So let that sink in. Their lack of defensive intensity, lack of paint presence, and a lack of just overall grit and grind has begun to pose a problem for a team who, statistically speaking, was on route to be the highest offensive scoring team that the NBA has ever seen. But we're talking about three dynamic players on one team. But unfortunately, we've only seen them play, I believe, for 7 games, where James Harden, Kyrie, and KD was all on the court together. But also, you can tell without James Harden, who I have to correct myself, y'all. I thought KD was the most important person on this roster. I would say KD is the best person on this roster, but James Harden looks to be the most important person on the roster because without James Harden, who is their true point guard, they have no one to get them in their sets. They have no one to control the pace of the game. Right now, if you look at KD and Kyrie, it seems to be a lot of your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. A lot of ISO ball going on. No team ball playing is being played, and we've seen in the past, no matter how great players are, if there is no cohesion as a unit, there is not going to be a championship that is won. You have to play as a team, have to let your superstars step up, of course, but overall, like Shaq says, it's the others that make a difference. If Kenny Smith don't hit those 7 threes in that game, do Houston win against the Orlando Magic back in 94 and 95 to win that championship while Mike was on his hiatus in playing baseball. So we got to look at the last 4 games played. As I mentioned, the Brooklyn Nets are on a 4-game losing streak. First up, they lost to Portland. Right now, Portland is in a dog fight in the Western Conference, fighting for their playoff lives, trying to avoid the play-in tournament. We're going to talk more about that later on in the show. But the Trailblazers would blaze the Nets, no pun intended, winning 128-109. The Nets will be without KD this game, as he's fresh off a hamstring injury of his own. So they don't want to play him back-to-back, even though in that previous game, I can't think they played the Pacers, I want to say, he scored 42 easy. Missed this game, and that hamstring injury kept him out for 23 games straight. So Damian Lillard had a strong game. He went crazy in the game. He scored a game-high 32 points, including 22 points in the second half. Take a sip to Dame Dollar. Get that man his flowers while he here. He shot 12 of 22 from the field, 8 of 13 from distance. Also contributed with 9 assists, 7 rebounds, and 1 steal. Excuse me. Yusuf Nurkic clearly had his way in the paint. We are seeing with the Brooklyn Nets right now, they have no paint presence. And as big as DeAndre Jordan is, he ain't the same DeAndre Jordan from old. So now you look at the Nets, they lose LaMarcus Aldridge to, heart problems. He retires from the NBA. Blake ain't the same. DeAndre ain't the same. KD can play defense, but he is not a defensive player. There's a difference in that. He can play defense, not a defensive player. So now you're looking at teams having their way in the paint. Yusuf Nurkic just dominated. He scored 23 points, and he was 9 of 12 from the field. That's 75%, y'all. And the boy also balled in 11 boards. Clearly dominated the paint. Kyrie had 28 points, but he had a bad shooting night. He was 12 of 26 from the field, 2 of 8 from distance. So when Kyrie is just playing, it's really hard. You don't have KD there to bail you out with those tough shots that he make. Tough shot taker, tough shot maker. Then the Nets will lose back-to-back games against the Milwaukee Bucks. They currently sit in 3rd place in the East, a half a game behind the Nets in the standings. Not to mention this will be a potential Eastern Conference final matchup. And from what I saw, I don't know if the Nets want to see the Bucks in the playoffs, because Giannis had his way with whatever he wanted to do. Giannis almost looked like KD out there. That boy went crazy. The Nets lost to the Bucks 117-114. Giannis and KD had a great duel that game. But I just want you guys to know that the Nets still almost won this game. At least would have took it to overtime had KD hit that last second 3. However, that didn't happen. The Bucks hold on to win. Giannis and KD put on the show for everybody, but Giannis went bonkers because he just had his way. He dog walked the Nets. He scored 49 points, shooting 21 to 36 from the field, and he was 4-8 from the distance, y'all. I'm telling y'all, boy, that Giannis is out there shooting threes. The Greek Freak was out there shooting threes. Let me tell y'all. Hey, what's up, Kels? Hey, appreciate you for jumping in here, my boy. But yeah, man, the Greek Freak was out there playing. He also contributed with 4 assists, 8 rebounds, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. You want to talk about getting it from every angle of the court. And then especially you look at some of those highlights. Did y'all see the way he was babying DeAndre Jordan? I'm talking about hitting fadeaways, looking like he was Mike, just dunking on him, being nasty, hanging all on the rim. Giannis was out there going crazy on the Brooklyn Nets. He had a huge impact on the final score. Chris Middleton hit some big shots as well. He had 26 points. He was 11 to 21 from the field, 3 of 7 from distance. He had a double-double. He grabbed 11 boards, had 6 assists, had 2 steals. But my boy, Drew Holiday. Now, granted, he only had 18 points, but he was very instrumental in his win. Why? Because he locked up Kyrie. Oh, the man of a million handles got locked up. And I kept telling people, if you go back and look at the earlier days of Rob's 2 cents, when I was just a young lad starting out on this podcast game, when I was not quite so confident, didn't have the beautiful backdrop behind me, back when I first got my fresh start, I told people that Drew Holiday was a great pickup for the Milwaukee Nets. Drew Holiday is one of the most underrated players in the NBA. If you watch interviews from players, I watch All the Smoke podcast with Matt Barnes and Captain Jack, Steve Jackson. They interview several NBA players, several coaches, and when they ask you who's the most underrated player in the NBA, they'll all tell you it's Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is a dog, and he's been a dog in the league for a very long time. Why? Because he is a two-way player. He can get buckets, and he can stop you from getting buckets. That's what he does. And he had impact on Kyrie because life was tough for Kyrie. Kyrie was held to only 20 points. He shot 8 of 21 from the field. He was 2 of 8 from distance. And without KD, I don't know if the game would have been that close because, as I mentioned earlier in the segment, KD and Giannis put on a show. KD had 42 points. They went back and forth. He shot 16 to 33 from the field, including 7 to 13 from distance. Also grabbed 10 boards as well, but it was not enough to get the job done, man. I'm trying to let y'all people know. Hey, I appreciate you, Kels, man. I be trying to let these people know. Don't sleep on my boy Drew a dog. In the second game against the Milwaukee Bucks, the Bucks will win again, 124 to 118, after an 18 to 1 run in the fourth quarter. An 18 to 1 run on the best offensive team in the NBA. I told you guys, I don't think that that's a recipe for success. I understand that the name of the game of the NBA is to outscore your opponents, but you have to play defense. And if a team puts you on an 18 to 1 run, that means they was locking you down. Giannis scored 36 points, but it was a tough 36 as it took him 30 shots to get 36 points as he was 11 to 30 from the field. And that 3-point bug definitely went away because he was 4-12 from the 3-point line. 25%. Y'all. That's not good. Buddy will grab 12 rebounds. Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday will both combine for 23 points. KD will have a great game in his loss as he will score 32 points off 11 to 22 from the field and 4-8 from distance. Also have 6 assists, 9 rebounds, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. But Kyrie will score a game-high 38 points. Had a great bounce-back game. The man of a million handles turned into 1,000,001. You can't stop Kyrie, man. He going to put the ball on the string. What they say about great players, you can slow them down, but you can't stop them. Drew was able to slow him down. The previous game, you watch film, you see where he likes to play defense at, and then you go and attack. So Drew Holiday wasn't able to quite have that same defensive impact on Kyrie that he did the first game because Kyrie had 38 points. He had a great bounce-back game as he shot 14 to 25 from the field, 6 to 12 from from distance. Also have 5 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks from your point guard. That's pretty nice, but again, it was still a losing effort. Then last night on Thursday Night Basketball, prime time on TNT, the Nets lost to Dallas. And I was shocked at that one because Dallas has been an up and down team this year. They're also fighting for their playoff lives, trying not to be in that play-in tournament. But Dallas stood up, and again, what reared its ugly head? The Nets' defensive deficiencies. They don't play defense. Now the Mavericks, they won 113 to 109. Luka went for 24 points, but he didn't have a great shooting night. He shot 7 of 22 from the field, 5 of 13 from distance, but he had 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, and he just controlled the pace of the game. He hit wide open shooters like Tim Hardaway Jr. He scored 23 points, shot 50% from both the field and from distance. And for the Nets, KD will have a horrible game by his standards. He only scored 20 points. He shot 7 of 21 from the field and 0 of 4 from distance. Hit a big old donut hole. So, that easy money snipers, sometimes snipers miss. Sometimes the wind blow a little too hard, throw off that trajectory. But Kyrie went off. He scored a game-high 45 points. Kyrie was trying to will his team to a victory. Just was too much of Dallas. He shot 17 to 31 from the field and 7 to 13 from distance. Will also have 4 assists, 5 rebounds, 4 steals, and 2 blocks. What's up with Kyrie getting all these blocks? What's up with Kyrie getting all these blocks? This your point guard, but Kyrie is going to work out there. And I'm telling you, man, the Nets' problem is not scoring. The Nets' problems is stopping you from scoring. The Nets pose no threat in the paint defensively at all. We saw that with Giannis. We saw that with Luka, with Powell from Dallas. I mean, you can just go in and skip to Melo in the paint against the Brooklyn Nets. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. And the Nets need to get that together if they think they're going to win a championship, because you got to remember, the teams that they're going to play in the Eastern Conference playoffs all have big men on their team. They got Embiid with Philly. You got Giannis with Milwaukee. You even got Julius Randle with the Knicks, even though I know the Knicks hopefully don't pose a threat to the Nets, but the Knicks do something the Nets don't do. They play defense. They got Tom Thibodeau. The Knicks is the best defensive team in the league. I'm just saying. And the Nets have shown that when they're not able to score, they look regular. They don't look superhuman. So the Nets need to really hope that James Harden comes back. James Harden is saying that he plans on being back before the playoffs begin. That might be a good sign for the Nets. But they haven't played that many games together. So you do need chemistry. You're talking about 3 of the best ISO players on one team, even though James Harden leads the league or was leading the league in assists, have led the league in assists before. When it comes down to it, James Harden is a ISO player at heart. So we got to see what the Nets are going to do. And before we start talking about the play-in tournament, I got to give a shout out to a player that's been going crazy this season. Because Russell Westbrook has been on a tear this year, y'all. And for the 4th time in his Hall of Fame career, he is once again averaging a triple-double throughout the season. He is averaging 21.8 points, 11.4 assists, and 11.4 rebounds per game. He currently has 34 triple-doubles this season and has 180 triple-doubles for his career. You want to talk about heart. You want to talk about grit. That's what it takes to average a triple-double, especially from the point guard position, because we're talking about going down there in the land of the Giants and snagging these boards over 7-footers, over 6-foot 11-footers. I mean, we talking about guys that's down there that look like trees. I mean, the CEO of my company, he got to be about 6'6", 6'7", and that's a tall dude. So I can only imagine going against the likes of a Rudy Gobert, the likes of a Joel Embiid, that to still come away with all these rebounds and to average that triple-double. I told people not to sleep on Westbrook. With that 180 triple doubles in his career, that puts him one behind the Big O, the legendary Oscar Robertson, who had 181 triple doubles throughout his Hall of Fame career. Russ can pass that before the season is even over. Y'all got to understand Russell Westbrook, in the words of Stephen A., and I'm sorry, don't mean to plagiarize, but that's a bad, bad man. And we got to look at the games that he's doing right now because he has scored 6 triple doubles in the last 7 games. Beast mode activated. Let's talk. Hold on, let me go to the people. If it wasn't for the play-in game, they wouldn't make a. I can agree with that, but you also got to realize that Westbrook and a player like Bradley Beal, you got to give them time to gel. That's not going to happen overnight. I just want you to know that. You got to remember that Russell Westbrook, while people give him slack for not making the playoffs, not making the championships or winning the ring, remember, when he played with KD against the Heat, that was KD who stopped shooting. What you want him to do? Russell got to shoot the ball. If you don't want to shoot, I'ma shoot. He played with Paul George. Paul George is not clutch. Playoff P is pandemic P. He's hitting the side of the backboard when you got Kawhi Leonard on your team. Okay, we seen that PG is not clutch. He played with James Harden, and they just wasn't gonna match. You was trying to make James Harden a point guard to put Russell Westbrook as your 2 guard, and Russell Westbrook is not a 2 guard. You want your 2 guard to be able to hit the 3 consistently. Russell Westbrook is a point guard, so you had 2 point guards playing together. It wasn't gonna work. And then you look at the team that he had when he was by himself, he had no choice but to average a triple double. Who else was going to shoot the ball? Who else was going to do what he was doing? He was out rebounding his big man. What did you want him to do? So, you guys better understand. Watch out for Russell. Yes, sir, brother. Corey, thank you for coming on, man. His intensity is unmatched, little bro. And that man Russell has played through all type of injuries, man. Y'all got to understand, Russell Westbrook a dog. Now, let's look at his triple doubles because, hey, you want to talk about the play-in tournament, Terrence, and I understand what you're saying, and I appreciate you, my brother, for being on here. But you got to understand that with the play-in tournament being a reality, the Washington Wizards are the scariest team in the play-in. I don't think nobody want to see the way that the Wizards are playing right now because Bradley Beal done tapped into something, and Russell Westbrook is starting to finally understand where he wants the ball, and that's gonna make him deadly. Now let's just look at the numbers in the last 5 games, which the Wizards are 3-2 in their last 5 games against the Cleveland Cavaliers, which was a win. Russell had 15 points, 11 assists, and 12 rebounds. In the loss against Dallas, he had 42 points, and he fell one short of that triple-double, only having 9 assists, but he grabbed 10 boards. Talk about hard. But listen to these numbers. In a win versus the Indiana Pacers, he would show tremendous heart. Because, he only scored 14 points, but the man had 24 assists and 21 rebounds. I know big man that never had a 20 game or let alone grab 20 boards. We talking about Russell Westbrook. Yes, Terrence, he is a horrible shooter. And that's why it didn't work with him and James Harden. Because James Harden tried to turn Russell Westbrook into a catch and shoot. They didn't really have success until Russell Westbrook started being Russell Westbrook and began driving the ball because that's what Russell do. He's a slasher. If you ever played 2K, Russell Westbrook is a slasher. He's going to drive to the rim because that's where he's more successful. And then unfortunately in the loss against Milwaukee, Russ will only score 29 points, but he had 17 assists and 12 rebounds. But then we looked last night in a thrilling overtime victory against the Toronto Raptors. Wednesday night, he scored 13 on a bad shooting night, but he had 17 assists and 17 rebounds. Because Russell understands that scoring is not the only place where I can have an impact for my team to be successful. And say what you want about Russ, he might not make it to the championship, might not make it to the finals, but he's going to be in the playoffs. And it looks like he's going to do the same thing in the Eastern Conference. I understand. Washington got off to a slow start. And we were shocked that players of Russell Westbrook's and Bradley Beal's caliber had this type of record. But I just want to let y'all guys know that they starting to get it together, because we know that Russell Westbrook is a triple double machine, and to see him just dominate on the glass like that shows that he has a lot of heart. But we talking about Bradley Beal as his running mate, who himself is averaging 31.1 points a game, and he's literally zero point 0.5 points behind Steph Curry for the NBA's leading scorer in the league. You gotta think that Washington is going to be a dangerous team in the play-in, and that's without a doubt. Because one thing I know about Russell Westbrook, when he plays, he's gonna give you 120%. And anytime you pay your money to get tickets to see him play, you are not getting cheated out of your money. If he can walk, if he can use his arms, he's gonna play. And it's time that people give Russell his respect. He can't help it. If nobody else is going to be an alpha male, then I'll step up and I'll take on that responsibility. I'll put the weight of this team on my shoulders. We win, we win, we lose, we lose. We do it together. Russell Westbrook is all about loyalty. But we got to talk about the Lakers. So I know you guys been talking about the play-in. Tune in on Tuesday to see me talk about the Eastern Conference side of the play-in. But for this live show, I got to talk about the Western Conference side of the play-in. And where can we start off without talking about the Los Angeles Lakers, who just lost to the Clippers last night, 118-94. Just got blew out. The Lakers could not see the Clippers. I'm telling y'all, watching that game, I almost felt like I wasn't watching the same Lakers team that was literally just like in second place in the Western Conference like a month ago. Like, it's crazy how quickly one injury or two injuries can happen, and now you're completely a different team. Anthony Davis went down last night, y'all, with an ankle injury. In the first quarter, he only played 9 minutes of basketball. He wouldn't return. He didn't immediately leave after he injured his ankle, but eventually he would step out the game, not return. What happened was he shot a jumper. You know the follow through when you're stepping back. He stepped back near the scores table, stepped on the sign the wrong way, ankle rolled. He went down. You already know he's been dealing with that calf injury. And if you guys been watching my show, you will know that I think it's more than just the calf. I think his Achilles is bothered. I think it's really something wrong with his Achilles, and I'm hoping that that's not the case. But he would return. You don't know when LeBron is coming back. The Lakers called it back spasms. I don't know. And he called it back spasms. I don't know where that came from, because out of you hurting your ankle, now all of a sudden you have back spasms, talking about his back locked up, but he think he should be, playing against the Portland Trail Blazers tonight, which is going to be a very, very important game. But before we get to this play-in tournament, just want to let y'all know, my boy Rajon Rondo made a statement last night. Rondo made a statement last night, because I don't know why in the hell that the Lakers organization did not pay that man. He just helped you win a ring. He was very instrumental in that game 6 that put you over the hump against Miami, made big time shots, made big time plays, just a true floor general, always has his eyes open. He'll see you in the spot before you even thought you was going to go to that spot. That's how cold Rondo is. Y'all got to understand that Rondo is a dog. I just want y'all to understand that if the Lakers would have kept Rondo, I don't think that the Lakers would be in the position that they are in now. I really don't. I like Dennis Schroeder. I think Dennis Schroeder is a great player, a good player. I won't go as far as say great. I think he's a very, very good player. But you cannot match Rondo's intellect and his knowledge of the game. Rondo only scored 11 points and had 5 assists. But you can just tell that when he came to this team, that team became his. Even though Kawhi Leonard is the best player on that team, just because you're the best player doesn't make you the best leader. That's just how it is in life sometimes. I work in a sales job. Just because you're a great salesman don't mean you'll be a great manager. I had to learn that the hard way, and that's how it is. But like I said, he just puts everybody in position. He puts everybody in their places, and he'll speak up. And he has a championship pedigree. He's done something that nobody else has done. And what that is he's won a ring with the Lakers and he's won a ring with the Celtics. You want to talk about the greatest basketball rivalry in the NBA to date, the Lakers versus the Celtics? Rondo has won a ring for both organizations and has played a pivotal role in winning those rings for those teams. And I believe if you would have kept a mind like Rondo with a mind like LeBron, the Lakers would definitely be a out the boat playoff contender. Because I don't think the Nets scare Rondo. I don't think nothing too much scares Rondo. That's just how strong that man's mental is. Oh, what's up, brother? Hey, appreciate you, little bro, for joining, man. My boy Brand, my brother Brandon. And yes, you are right. Rondo has been a threat since day one. I mean, you got to remember, he played with Paul Pierce, KG, and Ray Allen. You got to understand that to be a rookie point guard on this team amongst veterans, amongst proven stars, and to still have a voice and to be able to speak up and them allow you to do your thing and be a point guard, because as we know, a point guard ain't nothing but a quarterback in basketball. They control the pace of the game. They are supposed to dictate who gets the ball, where they get the ball. I know you like the ball there. I'm going to make sure you get the ball there. You know, that's what a point guard does. And Rondo is elite when it comes to that skill. I just want you guys to know that. Now, the Lakers, on the other hand, you without AD, you without LeBron, you without Schroeder, whatever you want to pronounce his name, who is out due to COVID. So right now, the game against Portland tonight is a very important game because this is what you guys have been waiting on. Let's talk about the play-in tournament. Because Portland, Dallas, and the Lakers are in a tight race to determine who's going to fill out that 5th, 6th, and 7th place spots. We know to be in the play-in, you're in 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th, and you have to play in the tournament to decide which two teams are going to join the top 6 in the playoffs. So you are in a mini playoffs before the playoffs even begin. We look right now, Dallas is safe. They had a huge win against the Nets last night. They're in 5th place. They're one game above the Lakers. The Lakers and Trailblazers, however, they're currently tied. 37-29 are their records. But the Lakers own the tiebreaker. So right now, the Lakers are safe, sitting in sixth place. If the season ended today, the Lakers wouldn't be in the play-in. It'll be Portland. However, they playing tonight on primetime basketball on ESPN. And we don't know if AD is going to play. Injured himself last night. Only had 9 minutes of play last night. Is he going to play? Is that ankle strong enough to hold him up? We know LeBron is not playing. So I really think Portland can beat the Lakers tonight. We got, they're healthy. You got CJ McCollum back. You got Yusuf Nurkic back. You got Dame Dollar playing like an MVP. You bring in my boy Norman Powell from Toronto. Great trade. I just want y'all to understand that it's going to be trouble. And even thank you, Terrence. I appreciate you for the update. He's saying AD is good to go. You heard it from my boy Terrence Knight. AD is good to go, but I still think Portland can beat them. Because with no Dennis Schroeder and no LeBron, you don't have a point guard for the Lakers. So now you asking AD to step up and do things that he hasn't done since high school. AD hasn't been a point guard since high school. So, and do you really trust Alex Caruso to be your starting point guard? He's great in his bench role. He's not Dennis Schroeder. He's not Rondo. So the Lakers are in trouble right now. So if the Lakers lose tonight, Portland jumps up to 6. The Lakers are in a play-in tournament. Who do they have to look forward to playing if they go in a play-in tournament? Steph Curry and the Warriors, who currently sit in 8th place. Memphis Grizzlies, who currently sit in 9th place. And the San Antonio Spurs, who currently sit at 10th. I don't know. Now, the Spurs, I think the Lakers can take them. The Grizzlies, I don't know. Ja Morant has really stepped up and made a name for himself in the NBA. He's more than just athletic. Ja Morant is the real deal. And Memphis has a great team over there. We know how they get down in the grindhouse. It's always going to be a grind, especially since the old days with Mike Conley, Zebo, Tony Allen. The Memphis Grizzlies has always been a hard hat lunch pail type of team. Now you bring in a little flair, a little pizzazz. I just want to let you know, yeah, hey, the Warriors, Memphis, and Spurs they have been trash. I'm not gonna call them trash. They have been trash this year. But Terrence, think about this. You only have to be good in 2 games. 7 and 8 are gonna play each other. 9th and 10th are gonna play each other. The winners of those 2 games are gonna play each other, and then one person will be 7th, one person will be 8th. You only have to be great for 2 games. Do you think Steph Curry can't be great for 2 games? I'm not saying that when they get in the playoffs or if they get in the playoffs that they are going to be a threat to one of those contenders. But are you telling me that Steph Curry don't have the potential to go for 62 and just completely buzzsaw a team? Just completely take a team off guard? That man is known to catch a Holy Ghost on a nightly basis. You don't think he can catch the Holy Ghost to make it to the playoff? And wouldn't that be a story? That without Clay, without KD, and all the slack and trash that Steph Curry has been getting and the slander on his name, this man makes it to the playoffs. Ain't that a good story to write? Because I'm telling y'all, when Clay come back next year, I know I say this every show, when Clay come back next year, y'all people's in trouble. Oh, you better watch out for the Warriors. Look what they're doing now without him. So I'm just telling y'all, this play-in tournament has made the NBA very interesting. I understand some people don't like to play in. Yes, I believe that, like I said earlier when I was talking to my boy Keith, I believe what Kenny Smith said last night is the way that the play-in should be played. 7th place should be left alone. It should come down to 8, 9, and 10. You let 9 and 10 play a game, and then the winner of that game has to play against the person at 8 spot. Whoever wins that game makes it to the playoffs. That's how I would do the play-in. I believe if you can be in the top 7, you go to heaven. Okay? But if you get in that, hey, if you land at spot 8, well, you got to learn how to skate and make it back home. So I'm just letting you guys know, man, the play-in tournament is making it for some good basketball. How many times have we seen towards the end of the season, teams begin to pack it up? We want to sit players down to prevent injuries before the playoffs start. And we don't get good basketball down the stretch. We have to literally wait for the playoffs to begin until we get good basketball. So, hey, I just want to let you guys know the play-in makes for some great basketball. A couple quick more segments before we leave tonight's show. Got to give a shout out to my boy Carmelo Anthony, because on May 3rd, in a game where the Portland Trail Blazers would lose, unfortunately, to the Atlanta Hawks, final score 123 to 114. You know, on Rob 2 cents, I'm going to tell you the numbers. Carmelo Anthony made history by passing legendary Hall of Fame Elvin Hayes, and he became number 10 on the NBA's all-time scoring list. Carmelo Anthony is in the top 10 of the all-time NBA scoring list. As you know, Melo is a 10-time All-Star, 6-time All-NBA selection, and a 3-time Olympic gold medalist. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, my boy Melo has wore the red, white, and blue and represented America against other countries in this world and helped show our dominance amongst these countries when it comes to the game of basketball. It was great to see Melo achieve this, because remember, not so long ago, they wrote my boy Melo off. They said he should retire, including me. I'm sorry. I thought it was over with. I didn't see the Melo that I see now, a hungry Melo, a more focused Melo, a determined Melo. I saw a Melo that couldn't let go of yesteryear and couldn't accept the role that he had to play now. But it's great to see Melo get back. Damian Lillard stuck up for him. He stuck up for my boy, and he brought Melo to the Portland Trailblazers. Melo wouldn't be with the Trailblazers if it wasn't for Damian Lillard. Say so. And it was great to see him achieve goals of making it to the playoffs and making the Trailblazers a real threat in the NBA. Now, Melo is a professional scorer in the game of basketball and probably one of the best ISO ball players we ever seen. Terrence, don't you go there. That's blasphemy. Don't you go there. Don't you talk about Carmelo was born. Carmelo, one of my favorite players, boy. That boy is a professional scorer. Melo currently sits at 27,334 points, and he's only 75 points behind Moses Malone, who currently sits at ninth place on that list. So we can see Melo move up to 9 before his career is over. I know he hasn't won the championship, but let me tell y'all, Carmelo Anthony is a Hall of Famer. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can be a Hall of Famer without winning the ring. It's not as easy as everybody thinks. You have to be able to mesh well with other players, but if we're talking about individual accolades, if we just talking about individual play, it was nobody back in the day, especially when he was prime Melo with Denver. You couldn't see Melo. I think that's probably why he went back to the Braves, because let me tell y'all, when Melo with the Braves was a dog. Carmelo Anthony. That boy cold. That boy cold. And congratulations to Carmelo. Want to give you guys a quick injury update. Zion Williamson has been diagnosed with a fractured left ring finger. They believe he received that while he was grabbing a rebound when he played against the Warriors on Tuesday. I think they won that game. They won 108 to 105. You know, Zion, the man child, been averaging 27 points, 7.2 rebounds a game. And the Pelicans are a game and a half behind the Spurs for the 10th place. But with the injury to Zion, I don't see the Pelicans moving up anymore. And I don't understand why the Pelicans has had such an underwhelming year, considering the fact that you got 2 All-Stars on your team, and Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. I thought Brandon Ingram was going to make leaps and bounds when he got to New Orleans. Especially we saw his, coming out party in the lake with the Lakers. And a lot of people compared him to Kevin Durant, just I guess because they have similar build. But unfortunately, the Pelicans have not lived up to expectations, and they're probably going to be making some major changes to that team this offseason once the playoffs are over. And last thing on the show, on the agenda, I could not walk away without talking to y'all about this. Did y'all see, okay, hold on. Hey, Melo is a stat stuffer, but I don't care. Melo get down on the court, Tans. And Lonzo might be the problem. I think Lonzo sometimes he picks and chooses when he wants to be aggressive. And that could be a problem. Lonzo need to, I guess, talk to his little brother. And, because we look at LaMelo. LaMelo got the confidence of a 6'6" dude, of a Jordan. LaMelo feels like he's the best person to walk out on that basketball court. LaMelo doesn't care. He gonna take big shots. He makes big shots. He does unbelievable passes that most players wouldn't even try. Did y'all see the underhand throw he did from the other side of the court? And he landed that looking like Tom Brady out there. And, he just has been so much great. He just brought so much great energy to the Charlotte Hornets, which is the reason that they're going to finally be going back to the playoffs. Well, at least if they can make it out the play-in tournament. But I do worry about LaMelo because we saw the other day he got beat up. I can't remember who they were playing, but he got beat up, and we eventually saw him on the bench rotating that wrist. Remember, he just came back, from a fractured wrist. So, and that's what you do to players, to star players. You beat them up. You beat them up and you make them realize that, hey, I don't care if you can score 50. You ain't going to do that on me. You'll be picking your teeth up out the ground before you score 50 on me. Hey, take it back to that old school basketball. This is a man's sport. And, hey, no pun intended to the women. And, the women want to get aggressive. Do your thing. But, hey, this is a physical sport, I should say. And hey, sometimes you're going to get touched in this game. But did y'all see Mayweather and Jake Paul? Comment in the comment section for my people that stuck around. I appreciate y'all for sticking around. Are you guys gonna be ordering this fight? Come June 6th, Jake Paul, little brother of Logan Paul. Oh no, I'm sorry, Logan Paul. I'm sorry, older brother of Jake Paul. Let me get my facts right. Logan Paul is gonna be fighting Floyd Mayweather. Logan Paul and Paul are both YouTube stars. Jake Paul is the one that knocked out Nate Robinson and knocked out Ben Askren from UFC, and Logan Paul is 0-1 in his boxing career, losing to another YouTube star named KSI. But now Logan Paul is going to be challenging Floyd Mayweather. Did y'all see that silly stuff that happened? Trying to keep it a little PG. So Mayweather and Jake and Logan Paul had their face off, or had a mini face off. I don't know if it was planned to be that way. I do know it was staged. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I don't understand that this was all staged. Mayweather sounded the same way he did when he was about to fight the Big Show in the WWE, when he made his WWE appearance and knocked the Big Show out with brass knuckles at WrestleMania. You are right, Terrence. It is all a money grab, man. I just want y'all to understand. I'm gonna be ordering that fight. But yeah, let me set the stage for y'all. So these guys are, have, the paparazzi around them, entourage, just general people in the vicinity, and they're in each other's face, and of course they lip boxing, they bad mouthing each other. Logan Paul is, oh, you little man, and you ain't gonna do nothing, and Mayweather like, man, get this bum the paperwork. I'm gonna knock this bomb out, man. You gonna catch the. And this dude, Logan Paul, tells this dude, Mayweather, I got your hat. And he grabs my man's hat off his head and like runs back. So now Mayweather is all tough. I mean, I'm surprised bro ain't throw up no gang sign. I mean, he telling him, I'm going to kill you, and, don't ever disrespect me like that, and, cussing at him and calling him all out his name. And Logan Paul is literally sitting there laughing, just antagonizing this dude. He must have took a page out of Conor McGregor's book when McGregor had, the fight against Mayweather, because even though McGregor got tagged in the ring, he was definitely very entertaining when it came to the pre-fight trash talk. But I'm really interested in this, and as a Floyd Mayweather fan, I almost get scared for him to take fights like this. I understand, and I tell people this all the time. When it comes to the sport of boxing, I understand, skill. Mayweather has skill and will. I would tell you guys, Mayweather has a chin. I done seen Mayweather take some hits to the face and be able to withstand and still be able to deliver a great performance. I know a lot of people say Mayweather fights are a snooze fight. And I get that because people want to see knockouts. But if you're looking at it strictly from the point of boxing, Mayweather is a maestro when it comes to the sport of boxing. He is Albert Einstein. He is my man's that created the iPhone, Steve Jobs. He is Bill Gates when he is in that boxing ring. You cannot stop him. He understands the art of hitting and not getting hit. And that's what people have to understand. In the sport of boxing, it's not about how hard I can get hit. It's about if I can hit you without you hitting me. And Mayweather has mastered that. I'm going to definitely be watching that fight against him and Logan Paul. Logan Paul is, it only takes one punch. It only takes one punch. And he is much bigger than Mayweather. And I know size doesn't matter, but in some cases, size matter. And if you can hit somebody smaller than you cleanly, anybody can be put on their ass. And that's how we going to end this show, y'all. I appreciate everybody who either stopped by to watch, commented, continued to watch. I appreciate any little support that I get. And I appreciate you guys for continuing to give me that energy to continue to go on. We had us a good show on here, y'all. We got some great conversations. Still got some yak left. About to edit this. Make sure you guys go look for it on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. Speaking of YouTube, Subscribe to the page. Subscribe. Help your boy live out his dreams, man. Hey, I ain't asking you for no money. I ain't asking you to buy something. All I'm asking you for is to just subscribe on YouTube. Let the video play. You ain't even got to watch it. Just let it play. Learn to support each other, y'all. That's Rod's 2 cents for the day. But I appreciate you guys, man. Love you guys, man. Hope you guys have a great and safe weekend. Enjoy the beautiful weather. Happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful mothers out here. Happy Mother's Day to you. Where would we be without our mothers? You know, I love my mom. That's my rock. I love my grandma. You know, I call her my grandma blessing. That's how she knows it's me on the phone. Because I'm the only one that call her that. You know, and I love all the mothers out here that's made a difference and helped raising us. So I know we ain't asked to be here. And sometimes you ain't asked for that responsibility. But we thank you for the good mothers out here that took on that responsibility to help us develop into who we developed into. I love you guys. Have a great weekend. Remember to continue to set goals. Make sure they're achievable goals. Write them down, talk about them, and then go hit them. I got a big change coming in my life. Might be making an announcement soon about that. But, you know, hey, things are always changing. We always progressing. Hope you guys continue to be great, y'all. And you already know the slogan, baby. We gone. There's a bigger fight going on. There's a much bigger agenda than the streets. And I know sometimes it's hard to see that far in front of us. But we have to look past the illusions. Look past the delusions of grandeur. And look at the bigger picture. We need to become better versions of ourselves each and every day. Fight for what you believe in. Because if you're staying for nothing, you'll fall for anything. We just getting started, baby. You guys know the slogan now. Hope you all have a great evening. And we gone.